country sure as hell been going down the drain.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
And now, live, unedited, unrehearsed, and unapologetic, brought to you by Imperial Fire Alarm and Security, securing your world. Straight off the ledge, it's JD and Smitty!
This is the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96 K-Rock. Phone lines are open, 277 or 775-9600. You can catch a streaming live video on theledgeradioshow.com and check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/The Ledge Radio Show. What's up, Smitty?
Oh, we have a visitor in our presence here, Mr. Byron Donald, and we're gonna be interrogating him in just a couple moments. But I'd first like to thank our sponsors, D Squared Construction. Kevin Dwyer is the man over there. If you have anything that you need fixed or built, he'll take care of you. Cruise One, Katty Bachman, and she's out there in the Cape. Look for him on Google if you can't find them. And Imperial Fire Alarm and Security, securing your world.
Very nice. Well, I would like to introduce U.S. congressional candidate Byron Donalds. And for those of you who don't know, Byron played Carlton from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Thanks for being here.
No, I didn't.
We warned you.
Who put me on this show? No, I didn't.
Hey, man, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. You know, I've had the pleasure of seeing you at a couple of the candidate forums, and I was impressed, man. I got to tell you straight up, I didn't know who you were. Hearing you on the radio,
I was so, you know.
What introduce yourself.
Up for me,
introduce yourself, Byron. There's folks in this market on K-Rock that may not know Byron Donalds.
There's probably a lot of them.
Who is Byron Donalds?
Byron Donalds is a citizen like you. You know, I'm 33. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I have 3 boys, actually, 8, 4, 1 years old. I have a degree in finance from Florida State. I coach Boo.
He likes
Gators.
He's a Gator. He's a Gator.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense then. Anyway, go Noles.
He's a Gator.
Go Noles.
Isn't that
Criminals.
No.
Okay, anyway, keep going.
Let's be serious.
All right.
This is a serious
It's a
show.
serious
Be
show.
serious. Anyway.
Bullshit.
Anyway, so, I coach Little League football, I coach baseball, stuff like that with my kids and with kids in the community. I'm a youth leader in my church. I do a lot of different things like that, just like a regular citizen does.
Excellent.
But, when I decided to get into this race, the biggest thing I looked at is which one of these guys has the ability to change the mind of the average voter? Which one of them is actually going to make a difference as opposed to just going to Washington and moving the cards around and stuff like that. And in my opinion, we don't have time to waste on people who are not going to change the minds of the average voter, because that's what's going to be necessary if we're going to reverse course.
Is that what you think would set you apart in this congressional race?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of the, when I go to these forums and I hear the debates, and I'm glad to hear that there's a lot of the same answers, which means that I think the sleeping giant's finally woken up. We've got a lot of folks are giving lip service, because that's normal in politics. But it does seem that a lot of them do have similar answers for some of the same problems. And it's just a matter of picking which one of those individuals that we think are going to live up to our expectations, and maybe that are being a little more honest than the next guy. And what defining characteristic do you think you have that sets you apart from those other folks on stage?
Oh, basically the first thing is, having a campaign against the current president to my family and friends. That's one of the hardest things you could possibly do. And really just stepping into this race as a regular citizen. What most people don't understand is that if you're going to run for Congress, the politicos, they tell you, oh, you have to plan for 3 years. Oh, well, nobody doesn't really know who you are. What they will tell you is it's not your time.
I've heard that, like with Marco Rubio. It wasn't his time, kid, is what they told him.
It's not your time. You should stand aside. You don't want to get into a race and then lose, because it'll hurt your career. And so what I tell people is, you obviously don't know me. I don't care about losing.
I appreciate that, because they told us the same thing about our radio show.
Nice.
We told them, we don't care.
How many times did Reagan run for president?
It was
about 3 times?
Well, that's right. What we got to do is this. If our politicians are more concerned about losing a battle, then we're not going to win any of them. It's not picking fights that you can win. It's picking fights have to be fought. And that's why I'm in this race, because this battle has to be fought. We can't keep sending the same kind of guys up there to Washington, because nothing's ever going to change. You got to send new people, people with better ideas, and people who are not afraid to articulate.
Are you for term limits?
Yes.
Not now, what about it? Do you have like a term limit, timeline in mind, or just in general term limits?
I've limited myself to 2 terms in this race. I've actually received the endorsement from a group called Go, Get Out of Our House, GOOH.com.
I like the logo.
And, oh yeah, it is. the big green stop sign. I like that thing. But I mean, basically, it's a group of citizens who are concerned about the country, and they have decided to vet people amongst themselves to find the best candidate, as opposed to people in the political class just looking around the table and saying,
Who's next?
Hey, Smitty, it's your turn now.
Yeah.
With all the hot topic items out there, which one would you think is the major one that you would address?
I mean, as far as like the biggest problem in America today?
Well, in his district, because he's running,
But remember, his district though, it's Lee and Collier County,
right.
But he's going up there to support us at the federal level. So when he goes to Congress, these are federal issues he's going to tackle.
You got a lot on your plate,
and big time. I mean, what do you see as the
major
number one biggest problem concerning America today?
Well, it's 2, and they're both out of the same bent. The overall problem we have is the role of government in America. If you look at whatever the issue might be, our debt, the fact that immigration is a real problem, our educational system, healthcare is a disaster, all of that is all those are symptoms of the real problem, which is the role of government.
You just think the machine in general is broken down.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It has to be revamped.
Completely revamped. The first place you start, in my opinion, is with the tax code. I favor getting rid of the entire tax code as it exists.
We argue with what we think might be right or wrong with the tax code. He's for the 999 and whatnot.
Well, I like fair tax. I like flat tax. But I tell you one thing that concerns me about, and we'll get to your second item with the fair tax. I think it's a great concept, but there's nothing that says that they can't just continually increase the percentage of the fair tax. Let's say it's based on what you purchase. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, today it's 10%. If they passed it, what's to stop them from going to 12% tomorrow and 25% next week? That's the thing that scares me about the fair tax. But I guess any tax can be changed. Can
I alleviate your concerns?
Please do.
In 2010, in the lame duck session, Barack Obama had a supermajority in the House, 59 votes in the Senate. He could have allowed the current tax law to expire in 2010, but he did not. You know why? Because he didn't want to be responsible for the economy going into a tailspin. This is Barack Obama, mind you.
Right.
And 59 Democrats in the United States Senate. They could have done whatever they wanted to in the lame duck session, but they did not because they were afraid of the people. So I would pose this to you with the fair tax. Which really what the fair tax is one rate, only one tax rate across the country on consumption. You go out and tell 20 million Americans, hey, we're going to raise this fair tax. We're going to raise the rate. See what happens to you.
Sure.
And so the only way you're really going to control Congress is with the will of the American people. That's really the only way.
Vote them out if you have to.
You got to get rid of them.
If anyone wants to call in and voice their opinion, feel free. It's 277-9600 or 775-9600. Give us a call and voice your opinion, please.
We've got U.S. congressional candidate Byron Donalds in studio with us today, and Byron's going to answer some some typical questions and maybe some hard questions. Byron, you've got I know you were getting into your second major issue of the country today. Please continue.
Well, you actually started with it, taxation. And, I'm a supporter of the fair tax. And unlike some of the guys in this race who say they support the fair tax, it's actually been on my material since day one. So I support the fair tax.
Okay.
I'll be a co-sponsor in the next Congress. The fair tax does one very important thing. It changes the relationship between the individual and the federal government. Right now, we are all subjects to the federal government. That is not how this nation was designed to be. This nation is based upon us being sovereign, us being many kings, if you will, living in liberty and harmony with our fellow citizens. But right now, we're having to justify our income levels and our tax levels to the federal government, and that is not how it was intended to be. If you really want our citizens to care about their politics, you have to make them care with their pocketbooks. And that means you change taxation. Instead of your money being taken from you on the 1st and the 15th, you actually get to keep your money, and you choose when you pay taxes. That's the power of the fair tax. Now I'm going to go historical on you.
Go ahead.
Check this out. In Federalist, the 21st Federalist, Alexander Hamilton said, the best course of action for raising revenue for the federal government would be through consumption, because that is how the people will be able to control the politician, through the power of the purse. Right now, Washington does what Washington wants to do because all of our people, their money is taken from them before they get a chance to decide. And that is why Washington does what Washington wants to do. And if you want to control Washington, you have to change how they get their money in the first place. You have to change taxation.
And I'm guessing, since you quoted Federalist, was it 21?
That's right.
Did you also get a chance to read the original argument, the book Original Argument, that broke down the Federalist Papers into kind of more layman's terms?
I haven't read that book yet.
But you read all the Federalist Papers.
Most of them, yeah. I'm through most of them.
Man,
yes.
they are tough to understand.
I mean, listen, these guys knew what they listen.
They sure did.
They knew what they were talking about, but it wasn't that they were just the smartest men ever.
Right.
They looked at history. They looked at what happened under the British Crown. They lived under tyranny.
Sure.
And so they understood that if we just come over here and make a new society where we have a new king or a new sovereign,
exact same way they had it.
The same thing's going to happen again here.
Because history repeats itself, doesn't it?
That's right.
And we don't want that to happen.
That's right.
Well, I tell you what, there's a few things, and I mentioned earlier some tough questions. They may not be tough for you,
okay.
But I've got Sick Rick in studio with us today. He's got some audio queued up, and I'm going to run something by you. This was from the Cape Coral Forum. It was during your initial, kind of I'm Byron Donald's speech, and I want to run this by you and then get your opinion on it real quick. Go ahead with cut one, Sick Rick.
Which one of us does two very important things that are necessary for our politics today? The first is, who has the right intellect and the ability to understand the issues of our nation, know the history of how we got here, and provide proper solutions for America's future? And the second job is, who has the ability to explain those solutions to all voters, not just Republican voters, so we can begin to reverse course here in America?
Now, and I don't even want to say it's my contention with that, but that's actually something that kind of stuck out with me when I heard you say that. I've heard it, because when you guys go to different forums, you a lot of times you have to use some of the same formats, same introductions, because you're talking to different people. You want different folks to know the same you everywhere you go. When you say all people, and you need someone that can get the message out to all people, are you saying that the folks that are up there behind you, they're not able to do that? And if not, why?
They're not able to do it because they're not me.
And what's different about you than them? What allows you to talk to all voters?
Yeah, well,
and they can't.
Well, the first thing is, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm not one of these guys in this race who was pushed into this thing by family or friends or by political relationships. I'm a regular citizen. I deal with all people all the time, whether it be in my professional career, whether it be in my personal life, whether it be with family. And so, in my opinion, it's not just going to be enough to talk to Republicans. Listen, the Republican Party has done a fine job talking to Republicans, but who else have they talked to? I had a lunch a long time ago, earlier in this race, with a lady in the NAACP and down in Naples. And at the end, and I talk about this all the time on the campaign trail because it's important. When I was done talking to her, we were at lunch for an hour. At the end of that lunch, she's shaking her head agreeing with me. And
really?
She knows I'm a conservative, and she's
Nice.
shaking her head in agreement. And then she told me one very important thing. She said, we do vote for a Republican out here, out in the States. We vote for a Republican. You know why we vote for him? I said, no, tell me why. She said, because he comes. Because he shows up.
Really?
Because he actually listens to what we have to say.
Okay.
In Naples, they have the Martin Luther King Jr. parade and then rally in Cambria Park, downtown Naples, right? This year, there were two Republicans there. Myself, because I was trying to get petitions signed. Sure. And the same gentleman that she was talking about.
Okay.
There was only two Republicans. One of the guys on my campaign, he said, hey, does a CCREC, does the Collier County Republican Executive Committee, do they have a float in this parade? I said no.
They probably
Didn't even go.
shouldn't they?
You got to go.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity in America today to change the minds of most voters.
So you think then that typically the Republicans they're only talking, when they talk, a lot of them are only talking to typical Republican voters. They're not getting across the line to folks that can be new voters for them.
Well, typically you get 15% of the voters are on the right, far right, Tea Party right, and 15 are far left. I would call them Michael Moore left.
Okay.
And then the guy 70% is in the middle. That's the average guy. So that's what he's saying. If you can, get the average guy to come on board with you, you can hit most. I'm
going to change that a little bit. Gallup does this poll a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When they poll people about whether they're conservative or not, 40% of the country is conservative. 40% of the country is conservative. It
absolutely is.
You probably have 20% that's liberal. Michael Moore liberal, if you will. That means you got another 40% who might be conservative. They just don't really know.
They're in the middle.
And so the job of a politician, if you will, today in today's America is you got to get that other 40%. Just get half of that other 40%.
You need part of it. You just need part of it.
To start thinking our way. That gives you 60% of the electorate to begin to stabilize this nation for the next 100 years.
More and more of those people are becoming independents. You know
what? Yeah, and you know why they're becoming independents?
Because they're disfranchised with the left and the right.
No, because the parties don't do anything. Listen, if we're just going to pick people because they have an R on the top of their head or a D on the top of their head, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
we got to start finding leaders. People who are not afraid to talk straight to the American people. The things that I talk about, the solutions I talk about, nobody talks about this stuff on the campaign trail except for me. And actually, like the fair tax, my opponents, they've started talking about it because they've seen
it's popular.
It's popular with the people because the people are sick of sending power to Washington.
Who do you look at now that you admire that's in Congress today?
Oh, man, there's a couple of people.
Anybody from Florida by chance?
Of course. We have Alan West.
I love Alan West.
We have Steve Sutherland, who's the other congressman up here. Very, very good congressman here. Marco Rubio's done a very good job for us. Taking over for
no Democrats?
No, not in Florida.
I would agree.
Well, you just had to speak to everybody. I was just wondering if there were some Democrats.
Remember the politicians.
I speak to them, but I speak to them from conservative principles. I just fundamentally disagree.
Okay.
There's a lot of other people. We have Steve King of Iowa. We have Louis Gohmert, Republican of Texas. We have Rand Paul. We have Mike Lee. We have Jim DeMint. There's a lot of quality people in Congress right now who are not up there just to feather their own nest. They really want to preserve the nation. They just need help.
I think we're going to have another good run at the freshmen coming in 2012. Yeah. I think whether they're Tea Party backed or not, to use that term or not, we're going to have some really good conservatives that are going to get there, and hopefully as they get there, they won't lose their principles, because I know that it's very corrupt in D.C. It's very easy to be corrupted, and Smitty and I talk about that all the time. It seems like as soon as they get there, man, they either find out they can't get things done like they thought they could, so they just fold and kowtow to the senior officials.
Well, it's a rude awakening once you get in the mix, man. And
what
can you imagine be the president promising a lot of things, and whether you're Democrat, Republican, you get to be the president, and all of a sudden then they give you the book and they go, okay, Mr. President, here's the real problems and here's the real deal. Then you go, wow, yeah. I guess I can't do what I really wanted to do. So there's some things going on behind the curtains.
To what you said, I think is really important. Everybody go back to 2008. Barack Obama's running around talking about ending all wars and all that other stuff. He's talking about closing Guantanamo Bay. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that.
We just drone them now. We just fly drones.
Now we just fly drones.
We release them, let them go to the mountains, and we just kill them. That's how it is.
But I remember what George W. Bush said, before the election happened. He said, listen, these guys are running around the country talking about what they're going to do with national security. He said, that all sounds good. But until they sit in this chair and until they see the real intel, they'll realize how boxed in we really are. And that's proof positive, because Barack Obama has largely followed George W. Bush's policies in the Middle East, except for he's increased drone strikes, of course.
I love it.
But listen, and this is happening all through government.
Sure.
We are boxed in. I want the listeners to understand this. We are boxed in on a lot of levels.
I think we're boxed in over there because we're in everybody's pocket trying to buy them. I think if you say to everybody, you know what, either you're with us or against us. If you're against us, we understand where you're at. We take our money, we go home, and then when we draw everything back into our country and say, we're on hold for about a year. We're not giving you anything. Just to see where we're at. Then watch them come to you and say, oh, all right.
You'd almost think that Smitty was a Ron Paul supporter, but when you talk to him during the week, boy.
I love Ron Paul's domestic policies, but his foreign policy is just a little too radical to just drag everybody off their bases and bring them home, and
I got you.
I think it's a little too radical.
You.
You can't. Somebody's got to be at the fence guarding the gate.
I've got something for you, Byron. What solutions do you have that you think would actually create jobs?
I'm going to go right back to the fair tax. Under independent analysis, the fair tax will increase gross domestic product between 7 and 10% in the first year.
Did you see the book? Did you see the tax book? Did you see how thick
it's not that big. It's like this big.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I mean, that is absolutely insane.
So if we are able to just throw that thing in the trash,
yes,
and redo it,
and go to the fair tax,
yes,
it's like a page. Be a page.
The legislation is 200 pages.
Okay.
The regs will probably be like 300 pages. But listen,
pictures?
Not one person in the world. Not one person in the world knows the entire United States tax code. It's too big.
It is.
It's too voluminous. It's just too. It's a piece of garbage. It needs to go away. But that being said,
let's take a call. Maybe somebody wants to ask you a question. Good.
Hey, caller, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. What you got for us?
Yeah, I got a question for Mr. Donald.
Absolutely.
I just want to I really can't understand for the life of me. I was at the last forum, and they had a question about immigration, and Mr. Donald spun off into the black vote, slavery, and multiracial marriages. I don't understand why at every forum I go to that he keeps bringing up the race card. I'd like an explanation.
All right, thank you, caller. We'll let Mr. Donald respond.
Sure, I'll respond to that. Listen, if we're going to have a serious conversation about immigration, we have to understand what immigration policy is supposed to be. The reason why, we bring up slavery when it comes to immigration is because I think we have to change birthright citizenship as it exists in the nation. And if you're going to change it, you have to educate the people about what birthright citizenship was intended to be in the first place, which goes back to the 14th Amendment. And it goes back to the fact that that was for black slaves, to make them citizens here in this nation. It was not for people just to come over the border, have children, and then the children automatically become United States citizens. So if you're going to have a serious conversation about immigration, in my opinion, you change birthright citizenship. You go to a system where one of your parents has to be a United States citizen.
They need to go through the legal process. Even if they're not, born here, they can go through the process, go through the citizenship, and we need to streamline that process. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But yeah, get them legal. Yeah. Then their kids can be legal.
The second thing you do, in my opinion, you get rid of welfare benefits for illegals. Listen, we don't have any money.
Oh, I know. That is killing this country.
We do not have any money.
We said something a couple shows ago about how the illegals were getting exemptions and getting money back from the government. Oh, are you kidding me?
They're claiming 9 and 10 kids on their taxes. They're not even citizens, and they're getting like refunds. 10 grand, 12 grand back from the government that they never paid into.
That's exactly right.
Well, with that, let's go to break.
277-9600, 775-9600. We're going to take a break.
When we get back, we'll have Byron Donalds back in studio with us.
Lex and Terry, 6 to 10 p.m.
In the southern Austrian city of Graz, a unit of firefighters had to show up to a crematorium. The cause of the fire was that the woman who they were cremating was so morbidly obese that all of the body fat that she was carrying around kind of caught fire and just went nuts.
That's the hottest that bitch has ever been.
Holy, hey, look at that. Lex and Terry on 96 K-Rock. Talk that rocks.
Honey, I've got a surprise for you.
Really?
We're going on a cruise. I called Cruise One in the Cape and spoke to Katie Bachman. She hooked us up. We're going first class on the Norwegian Pearl for a 7-night Caribbean cruise getaway.
Man, I'll be relaxing on the deck and sipping on those umbrella drinks.
That's okay for you, honey, but I'll be getting lean and fit. This cruise offers more than 20 hours of personal training fun with Joe Pearson. I'll be learning about nutrition and exercise, and all from a certified personal trainer. It's the best of both worlds. When you cruise Norwegian style, you do more than just eat and drink. You can get in shape and have the time of your life.
This is an exclusive offer for June only. Norwegian Pearl in our Seafit group package for friends and family. So call me and get the skinny details. I'll explain all package and special offers. Life is too short, so get away and enjoy it. Go in style, Norwegian style.
Call Katie at Cruise One on 239-677-3005. That's 239-677-3005. Or visit our website at kbachman.cruiseone.com.
Securing your family, your business, your property. That's what's important in your world. No matter how big, no matter how small, secure your world with Imperial Fire Alarm and Security today.
Imperial Fire Alarm and Security is a local company with hometown service, the way it should be. One call to Imperial will align you with the most effective fire alarm security and surveillance systems, as well as state-of-the-art wireless monitoring. If you're a property manager or condo association member, ask about Imperial's wireless monitoring systems to replace costly and unreliable phone lines and save your community thousands. From individual homes to large communities, Imperial Fire Alarm and Security can secure your world.
Don't you think it's time to secure your world? Imperial Fire Alarm and Security services Lee, Charlotte, and Collier counties. Learn more at imperialfiresecurity.com or to schedule your free consultation, call 239-288-6482. Secure your world at imperialfiresecurity.com.
License number EF2000046.
When it comes to finding a reliable general contractor,
you need to pick someone with a solid background and a good reputation. D Squared Construction gives you all that and more. They are family owned and operated and stand behind every project. Quality workmanship and satisfaction to the customer has made them one of the premier contractors in Southwest Florida since 2004. Small residential renovations to large commercial projects, they do it all, and they do it all well. Your projects are much too important to trust just anyone. D Squared Construction will come to your house or commercial project and give you a free on-site estimate. Call Cavan Dwyer at 239-561-4108. That's 239-561-4108 for a free consultation and some good sound advice. They won't waste your time or your money. D Squared Construction, when it needs to get done right.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
Welcome back to the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96 K-Rock. The phone numbers are 277 or 775-9600. You can check out our live stream at theledgeradioshow.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/The Ledge Radio Show. And with us today is U.S. Congressional candidate Byron Donalds. And Byron, I appreciate you staying through the break. I've got a couple questions I want to get through. I know you got a busy day of campaigning. And you mentioned something earlier that you're heading out to a gun range after this. That's cool, man.
I just want to go out there and shoot.
That's what I would like to do. That's why I was asking, where is it at? But you told me it's way down on 29. I'm like, man, that's too far.
29, yeah.
We go up to like Tucker's Grade, up there off of Old Exit 27. We'll go shooting up there. It's a nice outside range. They got the range marshals or whatever they call them. They keep all the targets set up for you.
What kind of gun you shoot?
Or whatever they have. I mean, I'm not much. I'm a city kid. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
They didn't even let you have guns up there, did they?
No.
Illegal ones.
Illegal, yeah. Only if you're a criminal.
Yeah. So I go out there every now and again. They have something out there. I'll shoot it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Whenever you're down this way, if it's on a day that you're not busy, maybe we'll go shooting. I'll take you up to Tucker's Grave and we'll go shooting. I got a couple little pistols. I got some rifles. We'll have a good time, man.
Oh, that's a date. Are we allowed? No, never mind.
All right, here we go.
Sure you guys want to hug and kiss or something?
No, we're not hugging.
Not just yet. We're not that close yet.
Jeez.
I don't see it getting there. But anyway.
I'm ready to throw up.
Okay. The biggest. Barack Obama spent 2 years in office getting what approved? Health care. He's got his Obamacare approved. What are your views on health care and the president's health care plan, a.k.a. Obamacare?
How do you fix that?
You got to throw it out.
Because you can't even approach cleaning up the budget without doing that.
Oh yes, the president's plan is unconstitutional. You
think the Supreme Court's going to side with us?
I think the individual mandate's going to fall. The real question is, will the Supreme Court throw out the entire bill?
One of the Supreme Court judges just dismissed herself from the case, I heard, or something.
I didn't hear that.
That's news to me.
When, this morning?
I was looking.
Well, they already did it. They already made the decision.
Did they?
Yeah, they're going to release it. The opinion's already been written. They just don't release them till like June, the middle of June or something like that. Back to the president's plan. It's got to go. It's designed to destroy private health insurance in America. That is the purpose of that plan.
Explain why, because some of the listeners out here may not understand when someone says that. How does it go from where it's at now to destroying a private health insurance plan?
Okay, a couple of things. The first thing is that you have the individual mandate that mandates you buy coverage. The second thing that is in that mandate is that if you do not buy coverage, you have to pay a fine or penalty. That's really why it's unconstitutional right there.
Okay.
The penalty is far cheaper than the cost of the plan. So if people, and people always seek their own interests economically, they're going to look for the lowest cost alternative, which is paying the fine and not having to have insurance. The third part of the plan mandates that the insurance companies cover you. So if you know,
no matter what illness or preconditions or anything you have.
So if you know they have to cover you, if you know this and you only could pay a fine, you'll just wait till you need the insurance.
So you'll pay the lower cost $2,000 fine a year or whatever instead of
it's lower than that,
or whatever it is, instead of the like I pay like $6,000 a year or something like that right now just for my crappy health insurance plan for my small business, and it's an HSA plan. So even though I pay it's like $600 or $700 a month for my premium, whenever I show up to the doctor, I still got to pay out of pocket because it's HSA. It gives me a little bit of a tax break at the end of the year, but it's not like a copay where I $20 and it covers it. So with this thing, you can pay your minimal fine, whatever that may be. Maybe it's based on income. I don't know how they're going to do it. I haven't read the 2,700-page bill. But so when you get sick, then you can just go ahead and get coverage.
Yes.
That's great.
The other thing the president's plan does is it pushes more people onto Medicaid, because there's parts of the bill that allow you to now go into Medicaid. They raise the income levels. They open up the eligibility parameters. That's going to do two things. It's going to implode state budgets around the nation, because you're going to be forcing more people onto Medicaid.
It's kind of
with everybody uninsured, we're already paying for it when they go to the hospitals anyhow.
Well, I'm gonna come back to that in a second.
Let me
the illegal aliens.
Healthcare is a
big monster.
Huge monster.
Yeah.
But think of it like this, Smitty. Let's say you've got your car. Okay, you got your Lincoln. All right, and you
crack on my Lincoln, man.
I like your car. Okay, it looks like a Taurus, but it's a Lincoln. Whatever. All right, so you got your Lincoln Taurus, and You denied getting the extended warranty plan. You didn't want to pay that $1,200 for the extended warranty at 100,000 miles. Well, then your car breaks down at 101,000 miles. You take it to the dealership, and if it was the Obamacare plan, immediately it's covered by the warranty, and you didn't have to pay for it, but your neighbor does.
That's right.
So go ahead with the next.
It does all those things, and then the last thing is that the same fine happens for employers. So as the cost of care rises,
explain that, because I'm an employer.
An employer under the new law can just dump you, and they can pay the fine as well. So you, the average citizen, will either have to buy one of these higher cost plans or go into Medicaid, depending on your income levels.
Well, that whole plan was primarily Romney's idea. It was based on his idea.
I don't care what Romney proposed. It's wrong.
It is wrong.
It's wrong. It's just not going to work.
At least he's doing something. I mean,
I told you last time, doing something wrong isn't better than doing nothing.
You can't do the same thing over and over and go, we'll just keep it as a status quo and get the same results.
You don't do it wrong and think that's better.
That's what you want, as long as it's okay.
Gentlemen.
Yes, sir. What do you got for us?
So let's fix it.
Okay.
Here's what you do. First of all, the president's plan has to go away. The second thing you do is you have to undo the current healthcare delivery system, which is the real problem. People have to buy health insurance with their own dollars, pre-taxed. You take away the same deduction that businesses have today, you give it to the individual. If we adopt a fair tax, it won't be a problem.
You'll have more money in your pocket.
You open it up across state lines. You let people buy their own insurance the same way they buy their own cell phones. The reason why the iPad and the iPhone and all these consumer electronics get better and better over time, but the cost relatively remains the same, is because we all use our own money to buy the best product at the lowest possible price.
I just don't trust the insurance companies.
Neither do I.
I don't trust them at all.
Explain the across state lines, because that's been a conservative talking point.
Yes.
And I'd like for folks like Smitty and others that may not understand, what does that benefit you if you can buy Blue Cross insurance from Georgia? Is it going to make it more competitive?
Oh, of course, because here's what happens. State governments, they create their own minimal standards. Every state has their own minimal standards for coverage. And so that's why health insurance in Illinois, California, or New York are far more expensive than in Mississippi, Georgia, or Idaho. Because those states have lower health care standards. So if you open it up across state lines, then you'll have people who say, you know what? I want to buy my insurance from Idaho because the state legislature in Idaho is mandating lower levels of coverage. Therefore, it is cheaper to me, the consumer. To your point about not trusting the insurance companies,
hate them.
The insurance companies want one thing.
Money.
That's right. And you know what Apple wants?
Money.
That's right. All CEOs, all business owners want the same thing.
That's what I want.
That is money.
Guess what I want? A good steak.
Well,
yeah, but you won't get it if you don't get paid, because you want money to get paid.
And
right?
if the government was giving out good steaks, they'd be crappy steaks.
That's right.
But because you buy them, they're great steaks.
What does the government do good that you like? Do they do anything good that you like at all? Is there something, a program? Or...
Sure. Defense. Because that's their constitutional job. Listen, the federal government cannot do things that the states can do or the people can do.
Are there any social programs that you like?
No.
Okay.
Not at the federal level, because they're administered poorly, because this goes back to how we spend money, which is really the problem of health care.
So you're not so much against, I don't want to put words in your mouth, you're not so much against the social programs, but how they're operated and how they're funded and how they're spent, the money's spent. That's what you're more up against.
Yeah, it shouldn't be spent. It shouldn't be done through Washington. If the state of Florida wants to have social programs, the state of Florida can do that. Because the state of Florida, if under their constitution, if it allows for it, they can do it in the state. If Lee County wants to have social programs, Lee County can do that. However, it is not the constitutional authority of the federal government to do these things. It is not. Nowhere in that Constitution does it say that they can have the ability to do
Well, they
those
sure
things.
do interpret it to mean that, don't they?
Of course
they've got that Constitution as they consider it a living document. It's ever changing, and it changes for their times and for their agenda. That's what it seems to do.
They have used the rulings on Social Security from the New Deal courts, from the FDR courts. They've used those rulings on Social Security to basically open up a welfare state here in the United States of America. And what we have to remember and we have to understand through history is we spent trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars trying to end poverty, and we still have poverty. So that is not the solution.
You mean just throwing money at it didn't fix it?
Throwing money. Listen, I
think education is the key.
Education is the key, but let's talk about education also. In Collier County, we spend about $16,000 or $17,000 per pupil. We could send those kids to private schools at $9,000 a pop and get better outcomes.
Absolutely.
So obviously money's not the problem. The problem is how you deliver education in the first place. Education is a local thing between the parent, the teacher, and the kid. That's how real education works.
You know what I'd like to see, and it's been years since it's been like this, probably since I was a kid. I was born in Florida, but I lived in a couple other states. I went to an elementary school in Northeast Texas for a couple of years. And in Northeast Texas at the time, the PTA, they were in charge.
Mm-hmm.
The PTA for that county, and back then you only had like one or two schools in a county.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're from the city where you got so many people. But the PTA made the decisions. The school board, if there was such a thing, they had to listen to the PTA because the PTA had the power. And if those parents wanted the students to learn a certain curriculum, as long as it was within certain parameters, they had that power. So if they wanted their kid to learn a Bible class, they did. I mean, back when I went to school, we had Bible class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only 36 years old, but I still remember that back when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
So
you just look 66.
I know. I just look 66. Thanks, Smitty. I appreciate that.
Sorry, buddy.
You look 85.
Thanks.
All right.
No, I'm really 105.
Anyway, well, there's what would you say is the most important issue that others in this race, or maybe even around the country, aren't talking about?
Education.
That is education.
Education.
Okay.
We've made this assumption that race to the top, which is the president's agenda, or No Child Left Behind, solved everything. Our kids are not going to be prepared for the America we're leaving them if they're not critical thinkers. And the current public education system is not creating critical thinkers. It's creating people who know how to answer tests.
Well, they've figured out a way to make the test scores look better. They just lower the standards.
Exactly.
They just dropped it at one grade.
You know why they did that? Because of political expediency. Because it makes Tallahassee look better.
Well, then the states, if they get that quota, if you would, they'll get funding from the government as long as they meet that quota on those.
Is that what happens? Is that how the school districts they get money when they have so many students, or each student that gets an A or passes or whatever, gets such a grade on the FCAT? Do they get more money from federal or from state?
It's not so much that. It's more a matter of you can't have failing schools, because if you have failing schools, then the state can step in and take that whole thing over. But
are you for charter schools? Do you support that?
I do, but charter schools are kind of like term limits. It's a quick fix to the real problem. The real problem is you cannot design education policy in Tallahassee or in Washington.
It needs to be more local.
Because these politicians, it's got to be local. These politicians, they don't know these kids. I don't know these kids.
Right.
I'm not in there every day. I think that curriculum needs to be designed by school boards, implemented by the superintendent, executed by the principals and by the teachers. That way, if a teacher doesn't like something in a curriculum, they have a much easier path to correct it. If the teachers realize, hey, this policy doesn't work, it's easier for them to correct it because they just have to deal with the school board.
What about prayer in school? Are you for that?
Yeah, because it's freedom, because it's liberty.
You're not pushing on somebody else. I just want to do it myself.
Yeah. If a section of the teachers want to pray, pray. If you don't want to pray,
don't pray.
Don't pray.
What about the
allegiance? But don't make me not be able to pray.
The allegiance of the flag when we were kids, we had to put the allegiance to the flag.
I think that needs to go back. Yeah, we are American citizens, and you pledge allegiance.
That's right. But you got these kids. You got these kids these days. They're being propped up as pawns, being used by the Democrat Party to forward this agenda that they can't say the pledge because it's got the word God in it, or it's offensive to them. So instead of them just being able to bow out of it, go somewhere else, or just sit there quietly while everybody else says the pledge, they're going to ruin it for everybody else.
Listen to me. You're supposed to train up a child in the way he should go. You're not just
coming from the parent.
Listen, you are to train your children, not to just let your children evolve into whatever it is they're supposed to be. That's how they become,
good citizens.
They become good citizens by training, and I think that's the job of a parent. And really, it's a job of it's a job of a parent to train your children.
Sure.
So saying a pledge, if your child wants to participate in prayer, that's fine. But I think prayer is a measure of religious freedom.
I'll tell you what. Before we take this call, when I was in school, if my teacher called my parents and said, "Hey, your son, he didn't want to say the pledge today," My dad wouldn't have said, "Hey, boy, I'm okay with you deciding what you want to do, and because you're only 14, I'm going to let you make that." He would say, "Hey, boy, you're going to say the pledge to this flag, to this country, because you embarrassed me by not doing it."
That's right.
But instead, this is what we got on the outcome. Let's take this call real quick. Caller, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. What you got for us?
Good morning. I have a quick question.
Yes.
You were talking about, the guest speaker was talking about the overspending in the government and the immigration and stuff like that. I want to ask him, what does he think needs to be done in order to save Social Security for us for when we're old enough to retire?
Good question.
That's a great question.
Thanks, caller.
The problem with Social Security is we don't have enough workers. That's the problem with Social Security. When they started it, we had 15 workers for every one beneficiary. Now we have 3 workers for every one beneficiary.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
We don't have a high enough birth rate in America to support Social Security long term. I think we need to go to a private account system similar to what they did in the country of Chile, where they went to a private account system where everybody, instead of paying your money to the Social Security Administration, it went into a private system that really was your account. There is no account in Washington.
So what are you saying? NAFTA didn't work?
Well, NAFTA has nothing to do with Social
Well,
Security.
That's Smitty. That's Smitty. NAFTA.
We got to get people to work.
All the jobs.
Yeah. Now you say get people more to work.
But remember, it's jobs. But he's saying that we just don't have the population for
We
it.
don't have the
that is of
population for
working
Social
age.
Security.
Think about the math, and you've got the math background, Byron. I don't. If you got 15 people paying into a pot and they're putting in $5 a piece, okay, to support one person that's on Social Security, now you've only got 3 paying the same, maybe the same or slightly more based on inflation, adjusted for inflation. That's a huge divide. That's a big difference.
You got to have the jobs here for them to work, period.
All right, but I'm going to tackle both of those.
Okay.
It's 3 now. It's going to be 2 in about 20 years. Social Security needs to go to a private system so that our citizens can have their own money and not have to rely on Washington to decide if they're going to give them money. Like, what the president tried to do last year. Well, we don't know if Social Security checks are going to go out. We have to decide. No, it's not your choice. It's our money. Let's put it into a private account system. Let's get it out of Washington. To your point about not enough jobs being here, the reason why free trade doesn't appear to work is because of American policy. We have the highest corporate income tax rate in the world. We have the most burdensome regulatory state in the world. If you're a big business and you got a choice of doing business here or in Panama, where are you going to do business?
Well, I don't think we're the highest in the world. I think we're, what are we,
No.
the 5th or
We
6th?
are the highest corporate tax rate in the world. We have the highest. The Japanese just lowered theirs. We have the
Corporate tax
highest.
rate, not
Corporate
income tax rate.
Yes.
Higher in Germany?
Yes. We have the highest corporate income tax rate in the world. Number 1.
Byron, can you say it one more time? I don't think he heard you.
No, I think you got it now.
He's just being smart.
That's all right. That's all right.
He's a smart guy.
I put up with him every day.
Hey, listen, we're coming up on a hard break, and we really appreciate you coming in. I'd like to have you in again sometime.
Sure.
Maybe before we get to the primary. Where can folks go to help your campaign? Do you have a website set up that they can help donate and everything?
Absolutely. ByronDonalds.com. Go to our website. We're in the middle of a Liberty Bomb, raising $30,000 over the next 30 days. Help us out. $10, $20, $100. It all helps. I'm a citizen candidate. I'm not hiring anybody. All the money that goes into my campaign goes to campaigning. And, I need your help. I'm a regular citizen just like you. In this country, we're not supposed to be creating lines of nobility.
Right.
So I don't really care what your family used to do or how you got your name. None of that matters. Pick the best candidate. Support me in this race. I'm asking for your vote on August 14th. My name's Byron Donalds. Go to my website, ByronDonalds.com.
Thanks, Byron.
You never know what we're going to say or do. Take 96 K-Rock wherever you go with the iRadio Now app.
iRadio Now.
Available for free on all smartphones, including Android. The biggest personalities in radio entertainment. Available on one app.
iRadio Now.
The iRadio Now app for all smartphones.
Just go to the App Store and search iRadio Now and download it for free.
Brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, Coconut Point.
Visit 96krock.com for more information.
iRadio Now.
96 K-Rock.
Honey, I've got a surprise for you.
Really?
We're going on a cruise. I called Cruise One in the Cape and spoke to Katie Bachman. She hooked us up. We're going first class on the Norwegian Pearl for a 7-night Caribbean cruise getaway.
Man, I'll be relaxing on the deck and sipping on those umbrella drinks.
That's okay for you, honey, but I'll be getting lean and fit. This cruise offers more than 20 hours of personal training fun with Joe Pearson. I'll be learning about nutrition and exercise, and all from a certified personal trainer. It's the best of both worlds. When you cruise Norwegian style, you do more than just eat and drink. You can get in shape and have the time of your life.
This is an exclusive offer for June only. Norwegian Pearl in our Seafit group package for friends and family. So call me and get the skinny details. I'll explain all package and special offers. Life is too short, so get away and enjoy it. Go in style, Norwegian style.
Call Katie at Cruise One on 239-677-3005. That's 239-677-3005. Or visit our website at kbachman.cruiseone.com.
Securing your family, your business, your property. That's what's important in your world. No matter how big, no matter how small. Secure your world with Imperial Fire Alarm and Security today.
Imperial Fire Alarm and Security is a local company with hometown service, the way it should be. One call to Imperial will align you with the most effective fire alarm security and surveillance systems, as well as state-of-the-art wireless monitoring. If you're a property manager or condo association member, ask about Imperial's wireless monitoring systems to replace costly and unreliable phone lines and save your community thousands. From individual homes to large communities, Imperial Fire Alarm and Security can secure your world.
Don't you think it's time to secure your world? Imperial Fire Alarm and Security services Lee, Charlotte, and Collier counties. Learn more at imperialfiresecurity.com or to schedule your free consultation, call 239-288-6482. Secure your world at imperialfiresecurity.com.
License number EF2 000046.
When it comes to finding a reliable general contractor, you need to pick someone with a solid background and a good reputation. D Squared Construction gives you all that and more. They are family-owned and operated and stand behind every project. Quality workmanship and satisfaction to the customer has made them one of the premier contractors in Southwest Florida since 2004. Small residential renovations to large commercial projects, they do it all, and they do it all well. Your projects are much too important to trust just anyone. D Squared Construction will come to your house or commercial project and give you a free on-site estimate. Call Cav & Dwyer at 239-561-4108. That's 239-561-4108 for a free consultation and some good sound advice. They won't waste your time or your money. D Squared Construction, when it needs to get done right.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
Welcome back to the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96K Rock. The phone numbers are 277 or 775-9600. Check out our live stream at theledgeradioshow.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/The Ledge Radio Show. Check out our Facebook page. Give us some likes. We would appreciate that. Big news for this past week. Just as a little recap, Governor Scott Walker won the Wisconsin recall election. It was a huge win, not only for Wisconsin Republicans, but for the country. And, Smitty, I mean, what do you think about that, man?
Well, it was huge. I mean, everybody was watching. Huge. Hey, Billy, come down here. But, yeah, it was a big thing. And the only thing, I guess, that what you don't hear a lot about is the Wisconsin Senate still voted a lot of Democrats in, even though Walker won, his position.
I heard they only gained one seat. Well, they only gained one seat in the Senate for Democrats, and it still didn't give them the majority. So it really kind of marginalized it anyway.
So it's going to be interesting.
But you brought up something about the funding, though. He way outspent the Democrats.
Yeah, there's tons of money that's constantly spent, but they also did an exit poll, and they said even though Walker won, they still voted more for Obama than they are for Romney on the exit poll. So it's an odd mix-up there.
Well,
they want Walker at the same time. They seem to favor on the exit polls by like 6-7 points. Obama. So
clearly, some of these polls don't always hold water because they.
It depends on who you poll.
It's true. Yeah, if you ask all Democrats, they're gonna say we voted for Obama, and the same with the Republicans.
Absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, it's as much as Democrats are going to want to make the recall issue about financing from shady outside organizations, they can't. Because the conservative and Republican groups like Americans for Prosperity and the National Rifle Association supporting Scott Walker threw in $16 million into the race. But progressive and Democratic groups gave nearly matched that dollar with $14 million from groups like Planned Parenthood, MoveOn.org, and a number of labor groups. But you know where the biggest difference was in campaign contributions?
You're going to tell me.
I will tell you. Individual donations. According to the AP, Walker made history by raising an astounding $31 million from sympathetic conservatives across Wisconsin and across the country. Barrett had just over 9,000 individual donations of $100 or more.
Well, in defense
compared to 60,000 individual donations of $100 or more that Walker collected.
But in defense for Barrett, he got in the race at the last minute. He didn't really even want to run in the race. They kind of picked him.
Well,
and
he
said,
lost against Walker in the original
yeah, but he
election.
wasn't even going to get in this. And they talked him into it, and they said, come on, go ahead. So, whatever. He lost, and Walker won.
Well,
it's a good,
believe it or
thing.
not, by winning his recall election by a 57% to 42% margin, Governor Scott Walker has done the Wisconsin Democratic Party, the public sector unions, the progressives, and angry leftists a huge favor. He has liberated them from the soothing illusion that they are popular and that the public agrees with them. That is great.
Well, let's see how it pans out at the election because, there could be a big swing state up in Wisconsin, just like here in Florida.
I got a little gaffe from the other day. I think it was from Friday.
Sure.
The president had a press conference, and we can all rest easy because the president says the private sector is doing fine. Sick Rick, can you cue up the audio, please, from Obama?
The truth of the matter is that, as I said, we've created 4.3 million jobs over the last 27 months, over 800,000 just this year alone. The private sector is doing fine. Where we're seeing weaknesses in our economy have to do with state and local government, oftentimes cuts initiated by governors or mayors who are not getting the kind of help that they have in the past from the federal government.
So basically he's saying that the private sector is doing great. And Smitty, you and I, we're in the private sector. It doesn't seem like we're doing great.
No, we're not doing great. But, globally, though, we're doing better than the whole world. And that's not saying we're doing great, but everybody's having problems. It's a global economy now, and you have to wake up. It's a global economy.
Well,
and if we catch a cold, they get sick. So that's how it is.
Well, apparently it didn't take very long. Apparently the president realized how out of touch his doing fine remark sounded. Took a moment to clarify, as he likes to do, what he actually meant. And he goes on to say it's absolutely clear the economy is not doing fine during his meeting with the Philippine president, literally right after the press conference. So he goes from the economy's doing great to I meant it wasn't great. Come on. How can you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, I'll play some of your flip-flops next show.
Okay.
Take a phone call.
Hey, caller, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. What you got for us?
Hey, I love you guys. This is Mike Garafola checking in, Cape Coral.
Hey, Mike, thanks for calling, buddy. We appreciate hearing from you, Mike Garafola. Well, I know you got some stuff over there. Go ahead and bring it.
No, I'm not going to bring anything. There's a lot of things to talk about. You got the White House leaks that are going down now. That's a big issue. And the Republicans are saying the Democrats are doing it.
But don't worry,
Eric
Holder's assigned two special prosecutors to investigate the leaks.
Yeah, I'm not an Eric Holder fan. He seems to be a little
leaked.
incompetent. I don't know what's going on with Eric Holder. But that's another whole issue. But on the
we got some good news.
There's a test now, genetic test now for to test your child if you're a newborn and you're a mother. They can take the umbilical.
How are you a newborn and a mother?
You can take the umbilical juice from the baby and the mother, and take the father's saliva.
That tastes like apricot juice?
I guess it does. And take the saliva, and they can actually test to see if there's something wrong with the child. And if you have
I read about this.
It's pretty amazing.
Did you know
98%.
It's 98% of what they say. Correct. I don't know. Anyway,
it is.
But the biggest difference is between that and doing the amniocentesis test.
Yes, that's correct.
It's not harmful to the baby.
Right. It's not.
However, with anything like this, some of the conservatives are up in arms because they're concerned that if you're able to legitimately find out about possible
defects. If the kid has a Down syndrome thing going on.
I don't want to call it a defect.
I don't know what to call it. I'm not politically correct.
That they're concerned that there will be a spike in abortions.
More abortions,
and that's possible. But hey, I had some really good news.
The test itself was amazing.
Remember we had the zombie deal last week.
Yeah, the
guy
apocalypse.
in the face.
Apocalypse.
Well, Hornady, who makes bullets, and I use their bullets in my rifle. They've now come out with zombie bullets. They're in high demand after these flesh-eating attacks.
Nice.
So in promoting the product on their website, Hornady suggests be prepared. Supply yourself for the zombie apocalypse with Zombie Max ammunition from Hornady. Loaded with proven Z-Max bullets, make dead permanent.
You know, we should sell zombie spray.
That is great.
We
Why'd you tell the whole
zombie
world?
spray,
Now,
man.
someone else is
Buy
going to do
zombie
it.
spray because
We'll
we have a special formula
we'll
over
just
here.
use water with some
we
green.
have the evergreens.
Evergreens. Nice.
Hey, just I know you're not a big sports fan or anything, but
what?
The Belmont is coming today, and the Triple Crown.
I could care less about horses.
Yeah, the Triple Crown was actually going to be.
You're from up north.
They
worry about horse racing.
The horse had to be scratched. It was the first time in like years.
Use them for dog food. You can use them for dog food. Did you? No, he's just giving us the 3-minute warning.
I thought he was waving to
No,
me.
no. Did you hear about the Oregon woman that won $900,000 settlement after her lover failed to tell her he had herpes?
No.
Like that movie, The Dictator?
Yeah.
Aladdin, he's finished.
Saw that.
He goes, and you have herpes.
Yeah, nice.
Well, the jury found that he was liable, that he was supposed to tell her, and gave her $900,000.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I guess you got to tell people what you have now.
I guess, man. What about the teen, 17-year-old girl, got jail time, got a year. Now she actually was given 2.5 years, but will serve 1 year in jail for texting while driving because she caused a death.
I know.
In the accident.
That texting's a big issue, man. I actually was working with a friend of mine.
What do you mean working with? You're the worst offender I've ever seen.
What do you mean? I'm the best.
You think you're a race car pro driver, and yet you're trying to text through your phone while you're driving.
First
You're
of all,
terrible.
I am a race car pro driver, okay?
You are
not. And
not.
I can text and multitask, unlike yourself, okay? But it is an issue. You have to be careful.
I saw an app one time where it was like advertised that while you're texting, you can look through your text screen and use the camera on the other side of your phone to view the road so you can still see while you're texting.
See, thinking out of the box. I mean, that's a good idea. While I text information, you're on your phone looking for where the nearest deal is at the restaurant. So, there's a big difference there.
What's the problem with that? Well, here's the issue, though. You can't see. So you're trying to text these little teeny letters. I get these messages from you. I'm thinking you're drunk, but I know you're driving because they got 15 different consonants in a row and I don't even make a word.
I am not alone. It's fat finger syndrome, okay? I try to punch the buttons and my fingers are too fat.
You should get that talk to text, okay?
Hey, talk about the food, the E. coli breakout.
I don't know anything about that.
There's a massive
We've only
E.
got
coli breakout.
They need to wash their lettuce.
In like 6 states, and we're like affected down here in Florida.
Well, don't eat affected lettuce if that's what it is. But check this out, though. Now, I know we've only got a minute, but here's another place I don't want to live. Miami Beach.
I thought you were going to say New York City.
Well, there too. They're going to make recycling compulsory, and for you that doesn't understand big words, mandatory. If you don't recycle, they can fine you up to $2,500 for not recycling. Now, I'm the only guy on my block even has a recycle bucket, and I put my stuff out there because when I put my bottles, when I try to sneak them into my trash can, the recycle guy throws them out of the trash can. So, and I could have swore our recycling center got busted for burning our recycles a few years ago. But I guess they're recycling again.
Yeah, well, recycling's good. I'm always for green.
I recycle.
Green
Technology.
And,
all right, we're coming up at the end of the
economy.
show, and we just want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. We'll same bat time, same bat place next week.
Don't forget our sponsors. D Squared,
Cruise One,
and Imperial Fire Alarm and Security. Securing your world. Give us a call. We can help you out.
Thanks, guys.